Dear parishioners, your vestry and I met last Monday to discuss at length the possible reopening to in-person worship in September and what it might look like if we did that. And here are some of the things that it would have to involve. Reservations would be required, no more than 30 in the church at a time, including clergy, organist, and people taking part in the service, including ushers. 6-foot distancing between households at all times, no gathering with friends before or after services, masks mandatory covering both mouth and nose, no cushions or books, we'll use disposable bulletins, no singing, no communion at the altar, ushers seating people while others wait and not being able to choose your seats, they'll go according to a floor plan, and no shaking hands at the door. Now, it's clear from listening to this list that services would feel quite different than services happened before the pandemic came. Very different. So before coming to a decision, the vestry and I all did some reading. We studied up a little bit. We read recent articles by medical professionals. We talked about and studied Ohio Governor DeWine's letter that he wrote to the press in his state about a case of his where a person attended a church service recently and 94 people ultimately were infected with the COVID-19 virus. Now, this person had gone to church asymptomatic, so they certainly did not realize that they were infected and contagious, but still it was a brutal reality check as to what could happen even when people don't realize that they're sick. We also discussed the reopening of our schools in September and what that might look like based on what we had seen with other states that have already opened and suddenly had alarmingly high incidence of COVID, and some of them even had to reclose. So we don't know what's going to happen here yet. We haven't opened our schools. That won't happen till after Labor Day. And after much conversation and thought, it was telling, at least to me, and I think to everybody else on the vestry, that only one member of the vestry and nobody on the task force were willing to resume coming to services in the church if we reopened in September. Each person that said they wouldn't be able to come acknowledged that a loved one or themselves didn't feel it was safe enough yet to return to in-person services, and I understand completely. While we all acknowledge the strong desire for some in our congregation to resume in-person worship immediately, we ultimately agreed that the church worship at this time in church worship was not in the community's best interest. So the vestry came to a decision, and it wasn't done easily, as I've said. They voted unanimously to keep the church closed to in-person services during the months of September and October. They felt, and I agreed, that the continued safety of our parishioners is their primary consideration. We also felt we needed to spend the time enumerating all the things we've accomplished during this very trying time. And we have accomplished a lot considering what we started with in March. We have gotten enormous positive feedback from the service videos that we are showing now on Sundays. We feel we have a working model of worship for the moment. What we have now is a thoughtful, prayerful Sunday worship experience with many people in our congregation participating and with hopes for many more to participate. And we'd like to develop this a little bit further in the future. And we continue to reach people every single week through noonday prayer and through Compline. And our classes continue unabated with more to come again in September. Now, the vestry and I are keenly aware that you still want to see each other. We all do, and not just online. I'm not as big a fan of Zoom as you might think I am. We all miss worshiping together in the church, but I think even more than that, we miss being with each other because we are a community and we miss each other. The vestry and I determined, therefore, to come up with a way that we could be together, if not in the church, some other way. So we're working to find a venue for an outdoor service once in September and once in October, outdoors. Now, most Episcopal churches in Maine that have reopened for in-person worship are doing so outdoors, not within church buildings, and we will do the same. It is far safer for everyone to meet outdoors, masked and distanced, than it ever could be in a building that is as poorly ventilated as ours is. Now, when we find a place to worship outside, and we will, we'll ask you to bring a lawn chair with you to sit on so that we don't have to transport awkward chairs that aren't very good on grass. So that would probably be the best thing to do. We will celebrate what they call a picnic Eucharist. We will ask you to bring your own bread and wine in the form of either juice and wine or crackers or whatever it is that appeals to you. I will consecrate everything at once, and then people will eat and drink their wine and bread in place. Now, this will be a great opportunity to see each other again, to interact with appropriate distancing and masking, and be the community in person that we've tried to be online for months. The vestry's looking forward to it, and so am I, and I hope you are too. So much has changed in our community, in our life, in the town, in the world. There are many deaths, illnesses, anxiety, loneliness, but so much has remained the same. And these things I am very proud of. I am proud of your love for one another, your caring for the needs and concerns of each other, and most of all, your amazing resilience in the face of all of this unknown. We are called to trust God and hold very tight to his hand as we go through the anguish of distancing until we are called back into community again in one another's very space in person. God is with us. Keep the faith and remember that life is short and we don't have much time to gladden the hearts of those who travel the way with us. So be swift to love and make haste to be kind. And let's do it together. God bless you all. Thank you.